Job he's done. They were 4-12 a season ago. Leo Aragus doing the kicking. And back deep, Patrick Johnson, Corey Harris for the Ravens. We're underway. This is Harris from the 10. Corey Harris with the seam, pops it up over the 35, up to the 39-yard line. Ernest Dixon with the tackle, a 28-yard return. Also a hyperextended finger on his throwing hand. But last week came in, started, went 27 of 34 for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he told us yesterday when we talked to him, there's one thing we need to do, and that's just get a win.
That's really the basic attitude of this entire team. Last week, for the first time, Jim Harbaugh actually felt he played well enough to win, even though they were blown out. He's really struggled with injuries, but now feels healthy.
On first down, Priest Holmes, not a lot of room on the right side. That's because Anthony Newman, the safety, came up, plugged up the hole. Offensively for the Ravens, take a look. Big, powerful offensive line. Ogden Cavill, Wally Williams, Blackshear, and Orlando Zeus Brown. The backs and receivers, Eric Green out of the lineup because of a broken pinky finger. Ryan Kinchin replaces him at tight end. Jermaine Lewis, Michael Jackson, the dangerous receivers. Second down and 9 from the 40. Holmes again over the left side with the hole. Priest Holmes close to the first down. Tackled by Newman. That's a gain of 9. Defensively for Oakland, second in the NFL in total defense, allowing 260 yards per game. Darrell Russell having a Pro Bowl type season with 6 sacks. The linebackers solid. Biekert, Richard Harvey, and Wooden. And in the secondary, these guys can play, especially the corners. Charles Woodson, Eric Allen, with Newman and Albert Lewis, the 38-year-old veteran, at one safety. And the Ravens, they pick up the first down.
You and I have talked, Gus, about this Ravens team. Ted Marchibroda finding Priest Holmes really about the third of the way through the first half of the season after the third game. And really we feel like they've moved away from Priest Holmes a little bit here lately because they haven't given him the football enough. Now that's a function of falling behind in Jacksonville, but we felt Priest Holmes has not seen the football enough in the games for the Ravens.
Now he lines up as a wide receiver on the near side. Jermaine Lewis in motion. Roosevelt Potts. 7 carries last week for 48 yards. Potts. And he gets over the 50 inside Raider territory.
Much was made out of that formation you just saw last week, splitting Priest Holmes out wide to pull perhaps one of the strong safeties, the safeties who are so good against the run, out of the formation in the middle of the field and open it up for Roosevelt Potts to blast his way in the off tackle.
Ravens coming off a 45-19 loss to Jacksonville in a game in which they gave up 42 points in the first half of play. Play action, Harbaugh, quick fire, Lewis with the first down and some. Jermaine Lewis dragged out of bounds at the 30. Albert Lewis with the tackle, but it's a gain of 15.
Jermaine Lewis comes in out of the slot, heads back out, and you'll watch he just kind of gets caught up in the play fake, fakes a block, then pops out. Albert Lewis overcommits to the run fake, and Jermaine Lewis is able to get down the sideline for the gain. This offense really did move the football despite the lopsided score last week. They did have some success offensively.
First down at 10 from the 32. The pitch. Holmes turns it up with the crease. Priest Holmes still gaining yardage. This time he's tackled by Charles Woodson, the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback out of Michigan.
Charles Woodson giving his shoe a toss there, pulling the shoe off of Priest Holmes after the play was over, throwing it back down the field. That's a good way to get a guy out of the game. He's got to go off now to put the shoe back on.
Priest Holmes started the season as the third-string tailback behind Jay Graham and also Eric Rhett, but got an opportunity to start against Cincinnati this season and really went in there and did a good job to get the starting job. Here's Rhett now, and Rhett lowers his head. Stopped by Albert Lewis. Eric Rhett inside the 25.
Albert Lewis making the transition to safety now after playing cornerback so well for so many years. it was a question as to how good his tackling skills would be at the safety position, but on that play, he came up and delivered a good blow to Eric Rhett and made the tackle after a gain of a couple.
Albert Lewis, 38 years old, the oldest player in the NFL to intercept a pass last week against Seattle and run it back 74 yards. Third down conversions for the Ravens this season. They have struggled. 3rd and 3. They run. Priest Holmes outside. Needed to get to the 23-yard line, and I don't think he got there. Terry Wooden, the linebacker, with the hit.
Well, one of the reasons they've struggled on 3rd down is because they haven't been in 3rd and 2 or 3 very much. This is a 3rd down that you really want to pick up at least half of the time. Terry Wooden played off the block of Brian Kinchin very well to make the play and stop it for a gain of 1 and hold him on 3rd down.
Brings on Matt Stover, attempting a 41-yarder, and it's up, and he missed it. So the Ravens come up empty. Coming up, Jeff George and the Raiders. 2 remaining in the first quarter. Oakland and Baltimore, no score. The owners, 2 prominent owners in the National Football League, Art Modell on the left and Al Davis on the right, the president of the general partner for the Oakland Raiders. First down and 10 from the 32. Jeff George passing on first down. And a whistle and flag.
Tim.
Snap. Ball start. Number 82. Offense. 5 yards. First down.
James Jett, the wide receiver. So Jeff George said he is as healthy as he's going to be. Missed 3.5 games because of a torn groin muscle. Suffered against Arizona. First down, 15 from the 27. 3 wide receivers. Napoleon Kaufman gets to the 30. Stopped by Kim Herring, the safety. Up front for the Raiders, big game for Mo Collins, the rookie left tackle out of Florida. His job, keep Mike McCrary out of the backfield. And the backs and receivers, Tim Brown, James Jett, very explosive. Ricky Dudley, the tight end. Second down and 12 from the 30. Derek Brown in motion. Downfield, James Jett with the catch at the 40. James Jett down to the 35. A gain of 35 yards, and what a job by Jeff George to hang in there.
Peter Boulware came off Jeff George's right side and smacked him in the mouth just as he let loose. Great throw, and that's one of the things Jeff George can do. That guy throws the football as accurately as anybody who's ever played this football game. You watch him on film, and he is absolutely impressive. Watch the hit as he releases. Peter Boulware getting a free shot. That's not what you want to happen when a quarterback's coming off an injury.
First down and 10 from the Baltimore 35. Kaufman straight ahead, spins and gets inside the 35. Stopped by James Jones. And defensively for the Baltimore Ravens, Mike McCrary, one of the best young talents in the NFL, 8.5 sacks on the season. Siragusa, the run stopper. Linebackers, Ray Lewis playing with the tender right elbow along with Jamie Sharper and Peter Boulware. And in the secondary, the big change, Dwayne Starks starts at right corner over Deron Jenkins. Rod Woodson, the great one on the left side, along with Stephon Moore and Kim Herring. Second down and 9 from the 34, and Jeff George burns a timeout. 8 minutes, 39 seconds remaining in the first quarter of play. Back to Baltimore after this. Point here in Baltimore, and in the first quarter, 8:39 to go. Oakland and Baltimore scoreless, but the Raiders driving. Second and 9 from the Baltimore 34. George, quick strike, broken up, almost intercepted. Ray Lewis had two hands on the football, but he just couldn't hold on.
The Ravens shifted into a defensive front late and got a guy free. Jeff George tried to get rid of the ball very quickly and threw it right at Ray Lewis, trying to hit Ray Mickens. Ray Lewis just wasn't ready for the football, didn't expect the ball to be thrown right at him like that.
Ray Lewis, third year out of Miami, one of the great young linebackers in this league. 3rd down and 9 from the 34. George steps up, delivers, broken up. Ray Lewis with the play on Ricky Dudley. And that gets him fired up. So the Raiders will have to send it away.
Ray Lewis, the heart and soul of that defense, making two great plays on that drive to stall it outside of field goal range.
Leo Aragus from the 49. Jermaine Lewis standing at the 10. High wobbly kick. And the ball downed inside the 5. Terry Mickens got there first. A 31-yard punt, no return. It's against the Raiders.
Illegal formation. Number 34 was not up on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Since the Raiders were able to down that at the 5-yard line, the Ravens are going to make them kick that again to see if they can get a little more field position, give Jermaine Lewis a chance to either break free or get a touchback on a bad punt. And that's one of the things that the Raiders should be unhappy about. Usually you'll get a warning, say, hey, listen, you need to move those guys up on the line of scrimmage, but there was no warning there. They just threw the flag.
Aragus pushed back to the 46. Another high wobbly kick. This time a fair catch signal by Jermaine Lewis. And they will start at the 13-yard line. Archer Broda responding to the 45-19 loss last week here to Jacksonville. He said, we hit rock bottom against the Jaguars. We were embarrassed, and the only thing you can do after a game like that is go back to work and fight to get better. First down from the 14. Priest Holmes looking for a hole at the line of scrimmage, and he jitterbugs up to the 20. Tackled by Lance Johnston.
Getting a little help there from Jermaine Lewis on the motion. You don't usually see a 5'7", 172 guy trying to block a guy like Lance Johnston, 6'4", 250 on the outside. Priest Holmes getting inside that block, and really all you're trying to do, you see there 84 right there, Jermaine Lewis. He'll stop and just get inside. Johnston doesn't have to really push him, just keep him from making the play, and by the time he can pursue, it's a 5-yard gain.
Priest Holmes so far, 5 carries, 22 yards. 2nd and 5 from the 19. Play action. Harbaugh down the sideline. For Holmes, incomplete. Holmes had a step on Albert Lewis, but the ball was slightly underthrown.
Threw it to his outside shoulder. That's a tough catch for a running back running down the field. Harbaugh threw that in the only spot he could to the outside shoulder of Priest Holmes. It's a tough catch. He needs to spin his body around and turn around and face Harbaugh and catch it going backwards rather than trying to catch it over his shoulder. His vision will be much better, but a running back doesn't get much practice doing that. Your receivers would be able to make that adjustment. A running back usually doesn't get that kind of practice.
Brings up a long 3rd down and 5 situation from the 19. Harbaugh out of the shotgun. The pitch. Holmes. And he's chopped down. Great play by Eric Allen, the right corner, and they're short of the 1st down.
Eric Allen jumped right inside the block by Jonathan Ogden. That's really difficult for an offensive lineman to come out and pick up a guy who's so small in open space. Eric Allen had just enough time to jump inside the block and trip up the running back.
So Kyle Richardson Standing at the 7, Desmond Howard, the dangerous punt return man, at the 37. Wobbly kick. Hits a player, live football, and the Ravens jump on it. John Williams recovers. Ravens ball. That may be the break they needed.
I've never seen that happen in the National Football League. That punt came down in the air and hit the defender on the back of the head. And that ball is absolutely live, and the only people, and as you've seen so many times, the coverage team has a much better opportunity to recover it because they're facing the return man. Watch the ball as it comes down right in the back of the head.
Anthony Pryor.
Anthony Pryor right in the back, and that is a live football, and that's just like a turnover.
First down and 10 for the Ravens from their own 49. Holmes. And he gets inside Raiders territory. And already, Don Strock, the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, you can tell that he is committed to running the football today.
And he has not done that in weeks past, and for a couple of reasons. He hasn't had the opportunity because they fell behind so badly last week. But yet, this team needs to run the football to take the pressure off of Jim Harbaugh. Eric Green is out of the football game. They're great tight end, and that's one less weapon in the passing game they have. And even though he's a factor in the running game, they have to be committed to the run to be successful.
2nd and 7 from the 48. Harbaugh, far side, caught. Kenshin looking for the first down, and he is lassoed out of bounds about a yard shy of it. Anthony Newman, the safety, with the hit. So Kenshin replaces Eric Green as the starting tight end.
This offense for the Ravens mixing it up very well, running the ball, even though they're not successful all the time in the run game, being committed to it, as Don Strock is being, makes the defense play everything on us, so it opens up the passing game, especially on the short passes you just saw.
Another 3rd down situation. They need a yard. Roosevelt Potts, and he got it. So the chains continue to move for the Ravens. Tomorrow on CBS, kick off a night of comedy with Cosby, the King of Queens, followed by Monday night's #1 comedy, Everybody Loves Raymond. Then it's Ted Danson's new hit comedy, Becker, followed by LA Doctors Monday, right here on CBS. Another first down for the Ravens. Came up empty as Matt Stover missed a 41-yard field goal on their first drive. They have 3 first downs so far from the Raiders 40. Harbaugh underneath, drop, and the ball is considered down by the officials. One official says it was a catch. Now they wave it off.
There was a question. One official came in to spot the football where Jermaine Lewis was tackled, and the other had to come in and say, no, he did not have possession. The ball is incomplete. You watch here, coming from the left of your screen up at the top, Jermaine Lewis. Watch, see if he catches the football. Oh, I think he caught that. That should have been a fumble. That was a great defensive play by Charles Woodson, staying with him. And the Raiders know. The Raiders realize, and they think that is a live football.
Yes, sir.
Roosevelt Potts on the field. Back in a moment.
Here on business, sir?
Yep, all business. With low rates from Dollar right at the airport, you may be tempted to add some leisure time to your next business trip.
In for a grim year, my friends. Yes. Will you be making your 4 p.m. tea time?
Me? There must be some mistake. Let me talk to him.
Dollar makes sense.
Johnson, I'd like to see some ideas on saving the company money. I'll be back first thing in the morning.
Think. That's the dumbest! Think.
well.
Ball at the 40, 2nd and 10. Draw play, Priest Holmes. Bounces it outside with running room. Holmes to the 30 and a first down. Run out of bounds by Anthony Newman, but he picked up 12.
And Roosevelt Potts will come back into the game with Priest Holmes. Those two guys in the backfield give him a great sense that they can do a lot of things. Roosevelt Potts can be a true fullback and also a tailback. He is also a true tailback. Priest Holmes can be a tailback and also a true wide receiver, as you've seen. So that gives them some flexibility in their offensive sets and the running game. As you see here, Priest Holmes going out wide once again.
To the far side. Potts the lone setback. Harbaugh passing. Plenty of time in the pocket. Harbaugh downfield. Intercepted by Eric Allen. On the tip. Eric Allen at the 10. Allen looking for a hole and goes down inside the 10. Sixth interception of the season for Harbaugh, and Eric Allen snags it down, his 4th interception. 43rd in his career.
Trying to hit Jermaine Lewis on the outside. He has plenty of time to find somebody. His receiver's working to get open. Contact right at the point of attack, and that leads to the turnover.
Donald Hollis, the backup for the past 3 weeks, is in at quarterback for the Raiders. There's Jeff and his numbers, and they don't know when the injury occurred, but he can't go.
You know, and the problem for the Raiders is Donald Hollis was playing extremely well for him. That's good, except he hasn't practiced this week. Jeff George has taken the bulk of the snaps in this game plan. We're going to have to see how Donald Hollis, if he can resurrect what he did in Seattle last Sunday night.
12 of 22, 237 yards, and 2 touchdowns against Seattle. Rolling out of the pocket, Hollis, and it's picked off! Woodson towards the end zone, touchdown! The Ravens had a team meeting on Wednesday. Players only. They recommitted themselves to this team and this game, and they came out today determined to have a better effort. And now they have the lead.
Part of the game plan today was for the Raiders to move the ball around out of the pocket, get Jeff George out of the pocket. They stayed with that game plan, and Donald Hollis getting him to roll out to the right or to the left. He comes out to the right looking at the defense, tries to throw it late over the middle, and it's picked off as Rod Woodson, gambling being the wily vet.
Desmond Howard from the 11. Howard up to the 30, make it the 35-yard line. Donnie Brady with the special teams tackle, a return of 32. So Donald Hollis, who's been really performing well for this Raiders team the past 3 weeks, last week in Seattle leading them to a win, but his first pass of the game here, an interception for a touchdown.
And as often the case, a backup sometimes will come in off the bench and not play as well as he does when he starts, and conversely, he'll play better as a starter than he does as a backup. And this is the backup role for Donald Hollis, in which he had some problems in the beginning of the year.
First down 10 from the 31 and a flag. Markers on the field.
Prior to the snap, number 74, offense. False start, 5 yards, first down.
Bob McElwee, your referee, he's worked 2 Super Bowls.
That's just unfamiliarity. That's just switching quarterbacks and listening to a different voice back there and jumping off sides on the cadence.
So John Gruden with an intense look on his face. First and a long 15. Screen. Kaufman bobbles it. Almost intercepted. James Jones, the left tackle. And a flag on the play. And that's been the knock on Napoleon Kaufman this season, or during his career, his inability to catch the football coming out of the backfield.
And that was really a play where that was an easy throw, a little screen pass. He bobbled that so badly, he almost gave it to James Jones on the bobble, just put it right into his lap. James Jones was so surprised he couldn't hang on. After the play, there was a scuffle involving Steve Wisniewski of the Raiders.
And it's against the Raiders. Personal foul.
One of the things you have to remember about this Raiders team, they come from the West Coast. The game begins at 10 a.m. on the West Coast. Their body clocks are different. They feel differently when they walk on the field for warm-ups. It feels like it's the first thing in the morning.
Slow foul. Unnecessary roughness. 63 offense. The player is disqualified from the game for kicking in a corner.
Barrett Robbins, the starting center, has been ejected.
And he didn't realize it.
For kicking an opposing player. His backup is Adam True.
And he had no idea before that penalty was called that he was going to get thrown out or that that penalty was on him. You could tell by his reaction. Right now, the Raiders are on their heels both on offense and on defense. Here's the interception. Watch Napoleon Kaufman almost has the interception there to James Jones, and it doesn't happen. And then the rest of the play develops. You'll see down in the bottom as the wrestling match breaks out. There's the flags coming out. We see it in slow motion. I don't see any. I don't see anybody being kicked in that pile. But that's, nevertheless, they're inside their 15.
Barrett Robbins being escorted into the locker room. He cannot stay on the sidelines. 2nd and 30. John Ritchie with the catch at the 20. Ritchie, the rookie out of Stanford. Flags on the play again. And it's against the Raiders.
Illegal formation. Offense number 72, not on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Lincoln Kennedy, the right tackle.
This is that last play again with Barrett Robbins in the scuffle. You'll see he's mixed up here with Rob Burnett. And as the play continues, he's just pushing and shoving there as they move out of the screen, and we never really saw a kick or anything that constituted an ejection, but nevertheless, he's gone.
5 penalties against the Raiders, 33 yards. 2nd and 33 from their 8. Draw play, Kaufman. And he is really stuck by Stephon Moore.
I think the best thing for the Raiders can hope for is get a couple of yards and then punt this ball away, get over to the sidelines and talk things over. They are really out of sync offensively. This is one thing they didn't want to happen. The crowd is way into this football game on the side of the hometown Ravens, and the Raiders can't cope with it at this point.
3rd down and 26 from the 15. Hollis under pressure, steps up. Hollis over the middle. And it's caught. Dudley. 1st down at the 45. A gain of 30, and what a lucky bounce that ball took for the Raiders.
How often do you think you're going to convert a 3rd and 26 on a play? It takes a tip ball and a fluky play like that to do it, but the Raiders did it. Unbelievable break. Ralph Staten tipping that ball and Ricky Dudley staying with it enough and making the effort for the 1st down. That is a huge play for the Raiders.
So the Raiders get breathing room at the 45. 1st down. Kaufman breaks it back with the hole. Napoleon picks up 10 and another 1st down.
The ball came out at the end. Tim Brown ended up falling on it. No indication from the referees whether it actually was a fumble. But nevertheless, the ball remains the Raiders' first down. Watch here at the end of the play. If the ball pops out, it was out after he was down. His knees were down, and the ball came out as he rolled over.
Napoleon Kaufman on the season. 634 yards rushing on 150 carries.
He did not get the first down. His second and less than a foot.
Harvey Williams in to replace him. Looking for the first down. Tony Siragusa with the tackle. On the NFL Today, we talked about backup quarterbacks and what they've been doing in the National Football League this year. And if you look around the league, I tell you, the backup quarterback may be one of the most important positions on the field.
There's no question about it. This has been a banner year for backup quarterbacks. Donald Hollis is really come through for this club. 3-0 under Hollis. And you see here is Vinny Testaverde, Randall Cunningham. Everybody's heard about what they've done. Doug Flutie and Buffalo and Flutie Mania. It is hugely important for these teams to have not only one quarterback who can play, but two. It's a 16-week season. And here at the midway point, you see the rookies in this game. These guys are starting to hit the wall at this point of the season, the young players, and it's a long season. You're going to need two quarterbacks because they're in there. They take the heat every week. And there's just too long of a season.
So the Raiders now faced with 3rd down and 1 from the 45-yard line of Baltimore. Tim Brown splits wide to the far side. Jet to the near side. Harvey Williams, the lone setback. Hollis straight ahead and a first down. So Donald Hollis with the first down. Time running out in the first quarter of play. And that's the end of the first quarter. With the score, the Baltimore Ravens lead the Raiders 7-0. Ravens lead the Raiders 7-0. Gus Johnson along with Steve Tasker, and already we can see a different Baltimore Ravens squad.
All these guys are telling Ted Marchibroda and showing this town what they think of their coach, Dave. It's a completely different football club than what we saw last week. They are executing better offensively, defensively, and in the kicking game better than they did at any point last week.
But the Raiders with good field position. Flags on the play.
That's yet another indication of how flat the Raiders are.
Snap. Ball start, 72, offense, 5 yards, first down.
6 penalties against Oakland, 38 yards.
Oakland does not appear that neither of these teams appear to be the same club they were last weekend. Oakland off a great win in Seattle in a place that they notoriously have trouble playing, and Ravens playing better here today.
Mike McCrary, fumble on the play, loose ball, and it's picked up by the Raiders. Derek Brown right there, but Michael McCrary, we told you that he's one of the best in the National Football League, playing against a rookie today, Mo Collins.
Mo Collins said he always treats it like he's got no help. Well, he didn't have much help on that one. Michael McCrary is an effort type of pass rusher. If you don't get him in the first couple of steps, you better finish the play. Michael McCrary just came in, wasn't even impeded at all, right to the quarterback.
Harvey Williams, and Williams up to the 44, stopped by Rob Burnett. Mo Collins told us that he's really looking forward to playing against Michael McCrary because he wants to prove to his teammates that he's up for the challenge against somebody as good as a Mike McCrary.
He said, you know what, I need this game. He goes, I want to prove it to my teammates. McCrary is a top flight guy, and I want to play well against him. McCrary early on has got the better of it.
3rd down, 21. Hollis again. Downfield. Looking for Dudley. Caught! And then he dropped it. Almost a spectacular catch by Ricky Dudley, but he lost it as he tried to haul it in. And a flag on the play. And it's against Baltimore.
Illegal contact. Number 41, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Ralph Staten.
Watch at the top of the screen, Ricky Dudley going towards the end zone, being guarded by Dwayne Starks. A phenomenal effort by Starks, but a spectacular effort by Ricky Dudley. Almost looked like he pulled it in, but just as he tried to grip it, he couldn't get it to his body, and it was incomplete.
Ravens, however, continue to give the Raiders new life. Another first down for him. Kaufman changes directions, and he submarines. Lost 1 yard on the play. They need to get to the 41 for a first down. Stevan Moore.
The Raiders here trying to get something going offensively to take this crowd out of the football game. This stadium is lively and loud, and it's really bothering the snap count and the cadence and the offensive lineman here. It's really giving the defensive line a jump off the ball.
10th play of the drive. 2nd and 11. Donald Hollis scrambling in the pocket. Hollis dragged down again. Mike McCrary. Second sack of the game.
Mo Collins was getting some help here from Napoleon Kaufman. You'll see here Mo Collins, because he goes outside. Napoleon's trying to hang on and help him out. Then Hollis moves to the right and gives McCrary a chance just to chase him down. Mike McCrary has got a fast motor and the fast legs to go with it to run down the quarterback.
They say most of his big plays come from hustling. That was a perfect example. Hollis out of the backfield. Harvey Williams. And Williams tackled at the 45. Not enough for the first down, and the Raiders have to send it away. But Mike McCrary came into this game with 29 sacks in his last 30 games. He's already got 2, now 10.5 on the season. High spiraling punt. Jermaine Lewis allows it to go into the end zone. And a touchback. 55-yard punt. No return. 11 minutes. 56 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Baltimore leads 7-0. I'm on the NASDAQ Amex halftime report. Jim Nantz, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, and George Seifert will have scores and highlights, plus a preview of the Bills-Jets game coming up on CBS. Ravens take over at their own 20. They pitch it. Priest Holmes running outside, and he's dragged down from behind. Darrell Russell, the second-year man out of Southern California, who's just having an outstanding season. With the hit.
What a play by the interior lineman, coming off, shedding the block, shooting the gap, and putting the running back in the backfield, chasing him down. That's why they think this guy is something special. They thought when they lost Chester McLaughlin last year, it was addition by subtraction. He's really proven them correct.
Move from defensive end back to tackle. He feels at home at the position. 2nd and 12. Flag on the play. Johnstone jumped. Harbaugh down the field, and it's picked up by Albert Lewis.
Harbaugh knew he had the free play and just tried to why not roll the dice, you know?
Take a chance.
Yeah, just take a chance. Try for the big play. You know it's not going to count. And if we catch it, great. If they catch it, who cares? Even if Albert Lewis returns it for a touchdown, we still get the ball back.
Offside, 56 defense, 5 yards, second down.
It's actually 51, Lance Johnstone.
Right here, Lance Johnstone jumping off, working against Orlando Brown. Harbaugh draws him off with the hard count. And Orlando Brown almost gives him the rope, the horse collar, but thinks better of it.
Zeus, Orlando Brown. Lance Johnstone had a 40-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown against Cincinnati 2 weeks ago. Interestingly enough, both the defensive ends on this team come out of Temple. Johnstone and James Harris. 2nd and 7 from the 23. Harbaugh in trouble, and he goes down. Lance Johnstone makes up for the play.
Working against Orlando Brown once again, stays with it. Jim Harbaugh goes right back and steps up in the pocket. Watch Lance Johnstone as he gets back, keeps his eye on Harbaugh, and as Harbaugh steps forward, bang. He just pushes Orlando Brown back in and then gets separation. When Harbaugh starts to run, the separation allows him to run away from Orlando Brown and make the tackle.
On the day, Ravens 1 of 3 on 3rd down conversions. They need 8 yards. They need to go to the 30. Flag again. Incomplete. And it's against Baltimore.
Illegal formation, number 77, not up on the line of scrimmage. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Orlando Brown backing up off the line of scrimmage. Lance Johnstone teaching him a lesson, trying to cheat and get as far away from the line of scrimmage as he can to give himself the most opportunity to be successful against a fast pass rusher.
Kyle Richardson at the 6, Desmond Howard at the 33. High spiraling punt. Howard drifts back to the 20, lost it. Another loose ball. Mickens picks it up. What a first half. A 62-yard punt. And so far for both teams, it's been hard to hang on to that thing.
The wind, it must be really swirling around up there. They're all having trouble fielding the ball. That's 2 times on punt that they've nearly broken the game wide open.
Raiders with the football, 1st down at 10 from the 15. James Jett with the catch, and Jett upended by Peter Boulware.
The Raiders right now want to get some good plays under their belt. They struggled so badly in their last possession, even though they converted that 3rd and 26. They want to get Donald Hollis some plays under his belt, get him into the flow of the game, and get a little rhythm offensively.
2nd down and short. Kaufman. Kaufman breaks it outside. And Kaufman runs over Starks and gets inside Baltimore territory. Jamie Sharper had to catch him from behind. A 30-yard gain.
You'll see here at the end of this play, this is the great change of direction that Napoleon Kaufman can bring. He's got great speed, and this at the end of the play is a statement about the fact that the Raiders now are coming out of their lull and they're going to start playing a little better. Napoleon Kaufman delivering a blow to Dwayne Starks.
1st down and 10 from the 47, another flag. Very sloppy game in the first half for both teams.
Illegal snap, false start on the center, 5 yards, 1st down.
Next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern, NASDAQ Amex College Football puts, hey, they're undefeated. Incomplete again. Ricky Dudley, the intended receiver, broken up by Ray Lewis. And Dudley is still down.
Ray Lewis got a great break on that pass by Hollis. Not only broke up the play, but also delivered a wicked shot to Dudley as they were spun to the ground. Might have, when that happens as you go and they spin around, sometimes your knee or your ankle will get caught. You see right here is the play, and watch Lewis come in and make the play right there. As they spin around, you'll see, you see the knee get caught under him.
The right
bent
knee.
Backwards. That's what did it. He sits up and gets off on his own power. His leg gets bent backwards. He seems walking off under his own power. We'll see if he returns to the game.
Looks like he's okay, Ricky Dudley. So that brings up 2nd down and 15 from the 48-yard line for the Raiders. Donald Hollis in to replace Jeff George, who went out after only 1 series because of the groin injury. Harvey Williams lowers his head, gets to the 50, maybe the 49.
The Raiders starting out this drive very well with the run by Kaufman. Now they're sputtering. The penalties against them. It just seems that their whole operation offensively is hesitant. And that's not the way that they have played in the last few weeks.
3rd down and 12. Tim Brown lines up wide to the far side. He's guarded by the rookie, Dwayne Starks. Hollis looking for Brown. Has him. 1st down. A favorable matchup for the Raiders. 13-yard pickup.
Dwayne Starks in his first start at cornerback, working against the All-Pro Tim Brown, getting broken in very fast here. Tim Brown, a little bit of a push-off, but not really. Dwayne Starks just lost his footing trying to plant so hard to come back on the ball, and a lot of times cornerbacks will do that.
Last week, Brown became the all-time yards receiver in Raiders history, surpassing Fred Biletnikoff. Kaufman running. He gets back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a 1-yard gain. Monday on CBS, Ted Danson, star. 24 remaining in the 2nd quarter. Ravens lead it by 7. Donald Hollis, far side, Jett with the catch, and he gets out of bounds. James Jett, the world-class sprinter, with a gain of 15.
And you get the idea that all of a sudden they think Dwayne Starks is having a rough day. They're going after him with both wide receivers. This time it's James Jett on the deep out. Hollis getting the ball right on time. Starks with a big cushion against Jett's blazing speed, and that's where they take advantage of it on the quick out.
Starks, the 10th overall selection out of Miami, was the fastest man in the draft this year. Kaufman spins, whirls inside the 20.
You know, when you're the fastest guy in the draft, as Dwayne Starks was, and you still have great respect for somebody else's speed, you know the guy is really, really fast.
Well, James Jett won a gold medal in the 4x400 meter relay in the '92 Olympics. Also placed 5th in the Olympic trials in the 100, so you know he can move a little bit.
He really can. He's only a $170, but he can really fly.
2nd and 6. Hollis in the end zone. Flag on the play. Interference. Once again, it Starks, this time holding Jett.
I just told you that James Jett weighed a $170 at 170 pounds. He's not very big. He worked against Dwayne Starks again.
Number 22, 1st down.
And whenever you make contact with a receiver of slight of build, it's going to show up and show us much greater contact. Watch here as James Jett goes to the post, then goes to the corner, and he just grabs him right there and keeps him from exploding after the football, and that is a penalty. Dwayne Starks having a rough start here in the 2nd quarter.
His first start replacing Deron Jenkins. Tim Brown in motion. 1st down, goal to go from the 3. Harvey Williams dips ahead and is close to the goal line, close to a touchdown. They say he did not get in.
The offense has really settled down for the Raiders. Now you can just feel them getting into the rhythm. We'll see here. Does he get in before his knee hits? No. No, that is a good spot by the officials. The Raiders now hitting their stride offensively. You feel the momentum begin to change over to Oakland, but they have been awful in the red zone this season.
2nd down, goal to go. Hollis almost lost the snap. Loose ball. Picked up. Williams. And he still didn't get in. What a great play by Rod Woodson to keep him out of the end zone.
A strange play at the goal line. We just mentioned that Oakland has been terrible in the red zone, not being able to score. You see one reason why. On the quarterback sneak, they fumbled the exchange and couldn't get in. And then the ball is batted back out. Harvey Williams trying to run to the
Looks
corner.
like he got in.
And it looked like they did get in.
Third down, goal to goal from the 1. Play action. Hollis in trouble. Hollis still running, and he goes down. Ray Lewis.
What a huge series. A goal line stand by the Raven defense. Hollis, this play's blown up from the start. There's no chance once Hollis breaks contain. Nobody's open. Ray Lewis runs him down and makes the huge defensive stop for the Baltimore Ravens.
Brings on Greg Davis, attempting a 23-yarder. And it's good. Great atmosphere here in Baltimore. The home team came to play. Leo Aragus kicking away. Patrick Johnson, Corey Harris back deep. Harris to the sideline, and he starts from the 10. Corey Harris up to the 30 and up to the 33, a gain of 22. Mike Morton with the special teams tackle. 4:32 remaining in the second quarter. 7-3 Baltimore. Beautiful Inner Harbor here in Baltimore. Second quarter, 4:32 to go. Ravens lead the Raiders 7-3. The NFL comes alive on CBS Sportsline. From in-depth team reports to sortable stats and the latest power rankings, get complete NFL coverage at cbs.sportsline.com. Last 3 possessions for the Ravens. Punt, interception, punt. So the offense is stalled a bit. They start from their own 33. Harbaugh. Far side, caught. And Kitchen ridden out of bounds. Terry Wooden.
We asked Ted Marchibroda yesterday if a team took Jermaine Lewis, their main guy, away, where would they go? And he said, you know what? The only place we can't go, we don't feel like Todd Kinchin is the tight end that Eric Green was. They really felt like they were going to miss Eric Green in their lineup today, but in that case, Todd Kinchin has done extremely well. Brian Kinchin, I'm sorry, has played extremely well in the absence of Eric Green.
Second down and 5 from the 38. Holmes. Not a lot of room for Priest Holmes. He may have gained a yard. Monday on CBS, not only have the critics called every third down and 3 for the Ravens from the 40. 1 of 4 today on third down. Harbaugh. Incomplete. Intended for Jermaine Lewis. Flag on the play, though, in the backfield. Albert Lewis covering Jermaine Lewis. And it's a personal foul against the Raiders. They rough the quarterback.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 90. Defense cutting the quarterback at the knees. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Grady Jackson.
Grady Jackson coming in very late after this. This is not something. This is so late. That is, yeah, that's blatant. Look where he hits him. That's very late. That's a cheap shot.
So the Ravens get it at the Oakland 45-yard line. Out of the offset eye, Holmes pops in the backfield. Rosie Potts. The big load gains close to 5 yards. Darrell Russell with the tackle. Now don't forget, coming up next, game 2 of our doubleheader. Some of you will see Doug Flutie And the Buffalo Bills take on the New York Jets in an AFC divisional class. The undefeated Denver Broncos also facing San Diego, Kansas City, and Seattle. But Buffalo and the Jets, what a game that should be at the Meadowlands. 2nd and 6 from the 41. They pitch it to Holmes. Priest Holmes may have lost a yard on the play.
Put up with an intent to wreak havoc on the Raiders.
3rd down and 5. Harbaugh again, passing. Downfield, caught by Michael Jackson. Jackson gets to the 25, a first down.
Out. Harbaugh put the ball right on the money.
Priest Holmes breaking tackles. Holmes inside the 25. Tackled by Anthony Newell. Lines up wide to the near side. Jermaine Lewis to the far side. And a whistle. Second down and 3. Harbaugh dumps it off to Potts, incomplete. 3rd down and 3 from the 19. They run the reverse. Lewis cuts it back inside and picks up the first down at the 10. A gain of 9 yards, 44 seconds to go in the first half. Timeout, Baltimore. The ball at the Oakland 10. First down, goal to goal. 9th play of the drive. Harbaugh. Incomplete. Intended for Priest Holmes, who was locked up in one-on-one coverage with the middle linebacker, Greg Beaker.
It looked like Jim Harbaugh threw that ball a little bit blind. The traffic in front of him, he couldn't see the...
15 times they've been inside the red zone, and they've scored only 10 times. Harbaugh again, and he swarmed under. They brought everybody. Terry Wooden leading the way with first contact. 2nd sack of the game.
They brought 7.
They flip-flop in and out of a starting lineup this season. 3rd down, goal to go from the 17. Priest Holmes. And Holmes trying to get back to the original line of scrimmage, the 10. And it's good. For both teams, offenses not really doing a lot. 2 and 3 sacks respectively. Ball takes a bounce, picked up at the 10. And Calvin Branch returns it. A gain of 13. Donald Hollis, one mistake in the first half, and it was the interception to Rod Woodson. He comes back onto the field. Young man, great athlete in college. Donald Hollis played at Rice first 2 years as a safety, and this man, John Gruden, all the confidence in the world in it.
He really gave them an opportunity to let George get completely healthy before they made him start a game.
Ricky Dudley with the catch at the 30, and he struggles up to the 31.
Donald Hollis is a guy that really played surprisingly well in the last few weeks, and like I said, that they were in no hurry for Jeff George to come back because Hollis was playing so well, and yet Jeff George comes back after feeling like he's as good as he's going to get health-wise, and he's out after one series. Donald Hollis looks like he's going to be the starter for a while.
Napoleon Kaufman running, and he is really jammed up at the line of scrimmage. He lost yardage on the play. Jamie Sharper.
We're not going to let a game breaker like Napoleon Kaufman beat us.
3rd down and 4 from the 30. Tim Brown, the motion man. Hollis over the middle, and not a first down. Ricky Dudley with the catch, but Ray Lewis was right there.
Dudley with the size and athleticism that he possesses.
1st down and 10 from the 34. Kaufman changes directions, trying to get outside, and does. Napoleon Kaufman ushered out of bounds inside Ravens territory. A gain of 17.
If Dwayne Starks isn't the guy out there to chase Napoleon Kaufman down, he goes to the touchdown. Now Napoleon Kaufman is hurt and is staying down on the Raiders sideline.
Williams picked up 5 yards. Hollis over the middle, incomplete, intended for James Jett. Took his eyes off the football and round to the far side. Donald Hollis in trouble, running, and he doesn't get it. The pocket collapsed. That's because Michael McCrary was there again. 3rd sack of the game. And the Ravens have gotten to the Raiders 4 times.
Oakland has struggled with all the stunts and tricks they're running up front for the Ravens.
Aragoose at the 40, Jermaine Lewis at the 10. Low wobbly kick, returnable. Lewis at the 15. And he goes down hard. Jermaine Lewis stopped by Anthony Pryor. On special teams, a 30-yard punt and a 2-yard return.
Of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
He really comes to play. Ted Marchibroda told us Jimmy is a gamer.
1st down 10 from the 17. Harbaugh looking for Holmes, incomplete, and another flag. Harbaugh pushed James Harris. And another penalty against the Raiders. 11th penalty of the game.
You have to know when the football is gone as a defensive lineman. There's no excuse for not knowing this football has been thrown. The extra shot that he gives Harbaugh is just too much. Now, that wasn't something that was going to hurt Harbaugh, but I think the officials know, you know what? That's the 2nd time that we've had a shot on Harbaugh like that. They're not going to allow it, and they're sending a message to the defense that they're not going to let that stuff slide.
Ravens get a fresh set of downs at the 32. Lewis in motion. Priest home. And Steve, they are running away from those 2 really good tackles.
They really have. They're starting to pitch the ball outside. They've got Priest Holmes to the corners because inside this defense is anchored by Russell Maryland, Darrell Russell, and sometimes by Grady Jackson. All 3 of those guys are big, strong, physical run stuffers. And if you're going to run the football, you're not going to do it over the top of them.
Darrell Russell, playing at USC, played against Jonathan Ogden, who played for UCLA while they were in college for 2 seasons. 2nd down and 11. Harbaugh steps up. Nowhere to go.
Fluid and in the rhythm of the football game.
4-receiver package in for the Ravens. Harbaugh once again, and he goes nowhere. The pocket collapsing for Jim Harbaugh. And on the bottom, number 96, Darrell Russell.
The pass rush for both of these teams has really taken over. Michael McCrary for Baltimore and the entire front, Darrell Russell, Russell Maryland, Lance Johnstone for the Raiders are not letting either quarterback drop back with any chance of getting the football to a receiver.
Kyle Richardson punting from the 17. Desmond Howard at the 20. High wobbly kick. Howard, fair catch signal at the 24. And Jim Harbaugh is not a happy camper. Neither team able to move the football. Kaufman, he gains some yards here, though. Napoleon Kaufman over the 30, tackled by Kim Herring. First, the Raiders running the ball. Harvey Williams to the 35. Once again with Kim Herring.
Here's what happened to Kim Herring. You'll see here Tony Siragusa, who's listed at 320, which is a gift. This is Kim Herring here, and watch as they make the tackle. Kim Herring is caught. I'm sorry, late. There's Kim Herring there, and you see Tony Siragusa and Jamie Sharper rolling over the top of him, and his shoulder was rolled underneath him.
Herring missed 4 games with a shoulder injury that he suffered week 2 against the Jets. Corey Harris in the game now. Hollis down the field, wide open. Dudley, Ricky Dudley, down to the Ravens 30. And Ricky Dudley comes up all smiles. He gains 35, and what a game he's been having.
He comes up all smiles because he caught the football and couldn't believe he was that wide open. He hesitated before taking off up the field. The defense turns and forgets about him. Hollis sees him, watch him, he catches, he's like, oh, okay, I'll run. And finds his way. Jamie Sharper making the tackle. That's the best play of the last quarter and a half for the Oakland Raiders.
Had a touchdown last week against Seattle. Napoleon Kaufman running the ball. Ricky Dudley in the first half. 2nd and 10. Hollis broken up by Woodson. Intended for Tim Brown. Those 2 players have been playing against each other for a long time. It goes all the way back to those Purdue-Notre Dame matchups.
No love lost there. I mean, they play together every year in the Pro Bowl on the same team, and you can tell there's a little bit of
Woodson had no problems telling us that he's 2-1 against Tim Brown in college.
That's exactly right. And he said, you know, those Notre Dame players are all overrated. All of them.
Tongue firmly planted in cheek. 3rd down and 10 from the 32. Hollis again, flags on the play.
76, offense, prior to the snap, 5 yards, 3rd down.
Steve Wisniewski.
The crowd's being a factor down in the Baltimore end of the football field. The offensive line can't get off on an even snap, and now they're getting called for penalties. Penalties have plagued this team this game more so than any other, I believe, at this point of the season.
Steve Wisniewski has been anchoring this offensive line for 10 years, playing in his 151st game. 3rd down and 15. Average yards to go on 3rd down for the Raiders. Hollis steps up, wants to run, and he's well shy of the 1st down. Rob Burnett. So with 6:31 remaining in the 3rd quarter, John Gruden, it looks like his team decides to go for it.
They're going to go for it on 4th and 10 here in the 3rd quarter with 6:20 left.
Why do you do this?
This is a statement about what you want your team to do. This is an attitude. John Gruden is sending a message.
And now the fans here in Baltimore, they're sending a message. Punt the football. They gave up a timeout to punt. Aragouz, quick kick, end over end. And it is down at the 1. 31-yard punt, great punt by Aragouz.
Off the sidelines to see.
From the 1, inside handoff. Roosevelt Potts gives them a little breathing room. Gets up to the 5. Tackled by Russell Maryland, who chopped him down. And the average starting field position for both teams inside the 30.
These defenses have really taken this game and just taken it over. Both offenses are struggling. That's a sign of a good defense. You can say, well, our offense couldn't get on track. Well, a good defense will make it look like that. And both these defenses have done that superbly today.
2nd and 6. Holmes. Tough yards here. Priest Holmes up to the 10. Richard Harvey with the tackle. They need to get to the 12-yard line for a 1st down.
This is quickly turning into somewhat of a dogfight.
Really nasty out there.
The respect factor is getting thrown out the window. They're starting to take an extreme dislike towards one another. We've had players laying all over the field today. We've had a couple of personal fouls. We've had a player ejected. This is turning into a bitter afternoon for these teams.
Third down and 1. Holmes again, first down. Running over the right side. And from the 13. Priest Holmes again, and he is mugged. Priest Holmes just mugged by Richard Harvey in the backfield.
They've ran that.
Feels that he really found a home in Oakland. Play action. Harbaugh just gets rid of it. Wise play by Harbaugh because Darrell Russell was in his face.
Darrell Russell was not fooled at all, and I'll tell you what, if you're Jim Harbaugh and you turn around on a naked bootleg and Darrell Russell is the guy that you're facing, you know, just throw it away.
What a score. Atlanta, Dan Reeves already a candidate for Coach of the Year. They are pounding New England on the road.
New England's been an up and down team all year. It'll be interesting to see where they end up when it's all over.
Third down and 13 for the Ravens. The pitch, Holmes turns it up. Holmes gets up to the 15. And standing on the goal line. It's been a slow year for Howard. No big plays so far. High spiraling bomb of a kick. Howard sees it go out of bounds, and let's see where they spot it. They spot it at the .31, a 54-yard punt. 2 minutes, 32 seconds to go in the third. Raiders on offense after this. Ravens lead at 10-3. Gus Johnson and Steve Tasker with you. So Donald Hollis, who came in after one series in the first quarter for Jeff George, who re-injured that groin muscle, with the ball at the 30. Audibling at the line of scrimmage. Kaufman stumbles forward, and he'll be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Autry Denson and Jarius Jackson ignite the eye. Second down and 10. Looking downfield, and it's Dudley with the first. Another first down for Ricky Dudley, tackled inside the 45. A gain of 26. Dwayne Starks got him, and Ricky Dudley is having a sensational game.
Donald Hollis, you can tell, is really starting to look for Ricky Dudley, and Ricky Dudley is responding, moving him across the football field. It's tough to stay with a guy of Dudley's size. You put a linebacker on him, the Raiders feel like if he's matched up with a linebacker one-on-one, he's going to win that battle, and they're finding him. 5 catches, 100 yards for Dudley. Ball tipped and picked up by Tim Brown. Tim Brown with the catch inside the 35. Jones tipping it at the line of scrimmage. So many times when this happens, you'll see a receiver, he won't be able to catch it, but this ball is tipped so far away from Tim Brown, he has plenty of time to adjust to it. You'll see there, as he almost stands up, thinks he's going to jump, and then goes down after it.
Second down and 2. Harvey Williams hopping at the line of scrimmage, dances through the hole and gets to the 30. And Harvey Williams getting a lot of carries today, spelling Napoleon Kaufman.
Napoleon Kaufman has limped off the field with little nicks and bruises all day, and he's still dragging around. He told us yesterday that his groin that has bothered him for weeks now is still kind of like a piece of luggage. He kind of carries it with him wherever he goes, and he's having trouble coming back and bouncing back from it.
First down and 10. for the Raiders. Hollis down the sideline, jet over the shoulder grab, and he can't make it. And Hollis threw that ball into double coverage, but I tell you, it was a pretty good throw.
It was a great throw, right on the money. James Jett had a chance to get it. You'll see here's the outside release working on Dwayne Starks. The rookie is his first start. And right here over the outside shoulder, just can't get enough of the football to pull it in. What a great throw by Donald Hollis.
Second down at 10 from the 30. 16 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Here comes the blitz. Draw play. Harvey Williams breaks the tackle and spins down to the 26. Rob Burnett wrapping him up. And that's the end of the third quarter with the score. Baltimore leads it 10-3. We'll return to in the 19-yard interception return for a touchdown. John Gruden on the right. Ted Marchibroda flanked by the official on the left. Third down and 7 for the Raiders. Hollis delivering. Tim Brown the catch. Brown inside the 10. Brown down the sidelines. Out of bounds at the 4. Rod Woodson made the tackle. But a gain of 22.
One area where the Raiders have struggled is in the red area, but not today. Tim Brown getting open, working hard for Donald Hollis as he avoids pressure. Tim Brown coming all the way across the football field, avoiding contact, finds Hollis, sits down in the open area, and then the rest is just effort, individual effort. Donald Hollis takes a hit after he delivers it by Rob Burnett.
First down. Harvey Williams trying to get outside, and he doesn't. That's because Stephon Moore was there to make the tackle. The safety. So the red zone has been a problem for both teams this season.
Here's what happened on that last play. You'll see John Ritchie, the fullback, come out and try and pick up Ray Lewis. But Stephon Moore is right.
Goal from the 5. They need a touchdown. In the end zone, touchdown! Ricky Dudley, wide open, and Donald Hollis has jumped off the bench, and once again, he's leading this Raiders squad. Dudley, 6 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown.
He has been the difference for the Raider offense today. He's come up with huge plays, converting on a 3rd and 25 earlier in the day. And then down in the red zone where his team has struggled, coming through, breaking free in the end zone. Donald Hollis finding him. That's the biggest play of the day.
Markers on the field.
Against the Baltimore Ravens, it looks like.
Number 90, defense.
Here's a look at the touchdown. Donald Hollis drops back, and it just comes wide open. Watch the stick and move by Ricky Dudley. Couldn't have been performed any better. That is a great classic move in the red zone by a tight end. It's a route that everybody runs, and Ricky Dudley worked it to perfection in double coverage and came open.
So right now, the Raiders have to come back onto the field.
Encroachment, defense, half the distance to the goal line, retry.
And kick the extra point.
Penalties have been a part of this football game, as have been guys laying down after the play. There's been a lot of injuries, a lot of guys helped off the football field, a couple of personal fouls. It's kind of become, it has become kind of a bitter war, one we didn't expect so much today. These teams don't see each other all that often, and yet the emotions are running high here at the halfway point of the season.
So Greg Davis is in to attempt the extra point, and this has been going on for a while now. officials trying to sort things out. The Raiders feel that they kicked the first extra point, it's good. They shouldn't have to do it
The
again.
encroachment foul will be declined. The 5 yards will be assessed on the kickoff.
So the extra point should be good.
The Raiders are asking for it. If it's declined, it's obviously good. And yet another conference will go on.
The kicking team has the choice to decline that foul and use the 5 yards on the kickoff. We will do the try.
So this is for the tie. And it's good. Now the game is tied up. Ricky Dudley.
Watch here, Hollis drops back, watches Rick pump fake to Ricky Dudley, then hits him as he turns up. That is a great feeling to give him the tie.
Reception from Donald Hollis. Dudley, an amazing game, his 4th 100-yard game of his career. And we are locked at 10. Harris. Corey Harris up to the 25. And Corey Harris stays at the 25. A return of 20 yards. Gus Johnson along with Steve Tasker, and at this point, because both defenses have been playing so well, every point or every touchdown or field goal is important.
And we got the feeling that the Baltimore offense was just saying, you know what, we don't think you're going to score on us. We've got a touchdown lead. We're going to play it safe down on our own end, give you the ball, and hoping we'll get it back in a little better field position. And it backfired because Oakland was able to take it the distance.
Ravens with the football, first down and 10 from the 26. Harbaugh downfield, Lewis open, caught it, out of bounds at the 47. What a great adjustment on the route for Jermaine Lewis.
That is so difficult to do. He came out of there going to the corner. Harbaugh threw it. He had to make what they call a baseball roll. Instead of turning with it, he turned his back to the football and still made the catch down the field. What a grab. He knew he was going to get leveled by Anthony Newman and still makes the catch in bounds. That is why Jermaine Lewis is their go-to guy.
A gain of 29 yards from the 46. Holmes on the draw. And Priest Holmes skips through the hole, gets close to the 40. Charles Woodson with the stop. Other scores, Miami pounding Indianapolis at home. Fresh off that loss to Buffalo and Doug Flutie. Jacksonville, Cincinnati. Jaguars continue to roll. And Atlanta manhandling New England at Foxborough. 2nd and 5 from the 41. Harbaugh underneath, Michael Jackson with the catch, and he's wrapped up by Eric Allen, but another first down. So the Ravens, it's almost like we're in a prize fight. They're answering right now.
They really are, and this is a shot right to the Raiders' mouth. Watch Michael Jackson come off. Eric Allen's going to attempt to steal this football, and Michael Jackson bobbles it on the adjustment, and Eric Allen has to settle for the tackle.
Jermaine Lewis is on the field, down. "12 minutes, 17 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. It's been a defensive football game. Baltimore and Oakland knotted up at 10 apiece. Jermaine Lewis, the big play receiver for the Ravens, is down on the field.
Jermaine Lewis is a guy that the Ravens cannot afford at this point of the football game to lose. They need him in the game. This is a game that is going to come down to one play in a defining moment. It has been a prize fight, and these teams have slugged it out. The ball goes to the outside, and Richard Harvey, making a play on the football, runs into Jermaine Lewis. He gets wedged.
And he's wobbly.
And he is not all there.
He is really wobbly. Jermaine Lewis, 5'7", 172 pounds. All-time leading receiver in the history of the ACC. And it's been a day of weird plays, folks, and injuries. Jeff George, who missed 3.5 games because of a groin injury, came back, played 1 series, then went out of the lineup. Barrett Robbins was ejected. Rod Woodson with an interception return on Donald Hollis' first pass of the game for a touchdown. First down and 10. Priest Holmes following his blocks. He's got room. Priest Holmes, look at the running. Priest Holmes to the 5. Whoa! A gain of 26. And from the very beginning of this game, they said they wanted to run the football.
What they've been trying to do in the running game is get Priest Holmes to the corners. The Raiders are so strong in the middle of their defense with their big tackles. Darrell Russell, Russell Maryland, they're trying to get Priest Holmes to the corners. And when he breaks through the line of scrimmage, he is dangerous in the secondary. They've had some success getting him to the edges of the defense and cutting up for some yards.
Smash mouth football by the Ravens on this drive. Holmes again from the 6, and this time he goes nowhere. Greg Biekert with the tackle along with Wooden. Now, moments ago, down 10-3, this is how the Raiders tied it. Hollis to Ricky Dudley.
Ricky Dudley was an out and up just in the 8-yard line, and that's the touchdown. It's perfectly executed. Ricky Dudley was double covered, but made a great move. Donald Hollis with the pump fake drew the coverage, and Ricky Dudley virtually was alone in the back of the end zone.
But right now, the Ravens knocking on the door again. Second down. Goal to go. And Harbaugh calls the timeout. .10:26 remaining in the fourth quarter of play. Ravens tied at 10.
Dan, you look good. Lost weight?
Cut the act, Phil. I need to tell management what's happening with our website.
Okay.
In terms they can understand.
Every buck we spend will earn $2 back by the end of the year.
To see a bit of what makes Dodge Intrepid fast, let's cut to the quick. It has a sparkling 200 horsepower gem of an aluminum engine, grippy independent suspension, crisp steering, and a highly functional driving space. Intrepid demonstrates a lot of powerful thinking, no matter how you slice it. Well equipped, $20,495.
Monday.
You think I'm self-centered? Me.
Ray's on an ego trip.
All aboard!
Is he ever coming back?
I'm not self-centered.
Raymond loves Raymond.
Even as a baby, you would cry and cry. Look at me! I got colic!
An all-new episode, all part of CBS Outtake Monday.
A doctor learns to fly.
Oh, heaven!
But her instructor's heart attack could cut her lessons short. All new Chicago Hope, CBS Wednesday.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the new Dodge. It's about change. The NASDAQ Amex Market Group, the market of markets. And by the motor oil that provides maximum protection, Castrol GTS. Drive hard.
10 minutes, 26 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Baltimore with the football at the 8-yard line. And the Raiders, they have been awfully tough in the fourth quarter this season, yielding only 33 points. Harbaugh passing. Finds Potts. Potts stumbles inside the 5. Eric Gallant coming up and making the tackle. And what a difference a year makes for this Raiders team. They have 23 new players. Willie Shaw, the defensive coordinator. Last year, without Shaw, they were 30th. This year, in the NFL, they're second.
One of the reasons is, he says, it's not so much the personnel, it's the attitude. These guys are now one unit. They play together, they pull for each other, they help each other out, they do their own jobs, but that attitude has made the difference.
Big play for the Ravens. Third down, goal to go from the 5. Harbaugh with time. Harbaugh running, and he goes down. Grady Jackson with the sack. The 4th team sack for the Raiders today.
The pass rush for both of these teams has been the difference. Both clubs have had their quarterbacks under duress the entire day. Watch here as Grady Jackson just pushes his way back. Ben Cavell just can't hold him, and the pocket collapses around Jim Harbaugh before he can get rid of the football.
Brings on Matt Stover to attempt a 30-yarder. And it's good. So the Ravens reclaim the lead with 9:14 to go in the 4th quarter. The faithful Raider fans, and their team trailing 13-10 right now. Don't forget, coming up on CBS, second game of the doubleheader, Buffalo and the Jets. That's a big one. Flutie. Will the magic continue against Bill Parcells' New York Jets, San Diego, and Denver? And here we go. Desmond Howard from the 5. Desmond Howard running hard up to the 23-yard line. There he stopped. And Donald Hollis back on the field. Gus Johnson along with Steve Tasker, and how important is it to have a backup quarterback? Jeff George goes out of the game. Hollis has to step up. Here's a team trying for their 6th straight win.
He has been the difference for the Raiders this year. His ability to move this football team. In actuality, the offense has played better at times because of his presence. They play harder, they play more as a unit, and they've stepped up their play because they have a backup in there, and he's been the leader of it.
Down by 3. Hollis passing. Far side, and it's caught. At the 42-yard line, James Jett with the reception. A gain of 19.
Donald Hollis getting one more opportunity to bring this club back. He did it on the last drive, driving the length of the field to get him the touchdown, and now dropping back on 1st down, going deep to James Jett. Donald Hollis has really started to play better and better as this game has gotten deep into the 4th quarter.
First down from the 42. Kaufman bouncing off defenders, and Napoleon Kaufman may have picked up a yard. Now there was a controversial play in the 2nd quarter.
This is a touchdown right here that was not given to the Raiders. There's the goal line. You'll watch. Not only should it be a touchdown, it should also be an offsides that was never called. You'll see there as McCrary, 99, jumps across. There's the touchdown right there. And it was not called. And in fact, the Raiders had to settle for a field goal.
Hollis passing under pressure, scrambles out of trouble. He can run, and Hollis slides down at the 45. Peter Boulware giving chase. Now tonight on CBS, Cicely Tyson, Blair Underwood, and Queen Latifah, along with Mario Van Peebles, star in the story that picks up where Roots left off. CBS proudly presents Alex Haley's Mama Flora's Family on the CBS Sunday Movie this evening. It's getting loud here in Baltimore. The fans rising to their feet. 3rd and 7. Hollis, and he goes down. The officials trying to signal for a stoppage in play.
False start, 72, offense. 5 yards, 3rd down.
Lincoln Kennedy, the right tackle. And it was before the play.
The official from the side official was running in from before the snap, trying to stop the play. And the crowd was so loud the players couldn't hear the whistle. Donald Hollis stopped once, then started again, stopped once and started again, and finally went down in the sack, and you heard the crowd cheer. Penalties have really crippled the Raiders today.
Third down and 12 from the 40. Hollis has been really good in these. Situations today. Under pressure, Hollis down the field, incomplete. So John Gruden brings the punting unit on with 6 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. And because of the injury to Jermaine Lewis, who has a concussion, James Rowe, a backup wide receiver, comes in to return punts for the Ravens. He's standing at the 11. Aragoose, wobbly kick, Rowe from the 15. And James Rowe goes down at the 22. 44-yard punt, 8-yard return. 6:38 to go, 13-10.
I hate to break the news to you, pal. No playoffs this year.
That bothers me when somebody tries to talk back.
Don't talk to me! I think you're afraid of Bill Cowher. I think he's scared. I saw you trembling over here.
For all the latest on the NFL, watch the NFL Today. Sunday at noon Eastern on CBS.
Blair Underwood, Queen Latifah, Della Reese, Mario Van Peebles, and Cicely Tyson in Alex Haley's Mama Flora's Family. CBS tonight.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by MetLife. Get Met, it pays. And by 10-10-2-20.
Now tonight on CBS, if you're a smoker and your sex life isn't all it could be or should be, tonight 60 Minutes is one broadcast you can't afford to miss. 60 Minutes tonight, followed by Touched by an Angel and the CBS miniseries Mama Flora's Family, starring the great Cicely Tyson. And the great Priest Holmes running the football, loses it, but he is called down at the 35, a gain of 12.
That is the way it has gone for the Raiders here today, coming up with what they thought was a loose football, only to find that he was down by contact with an extra penalty flag tacked on.
Number 24 defense, the runner was declared down by contact. The 5 yards will be enforced from the end of the play. First down.
So the Raiders have really been killing themselves. Close to 100 yards in penalties today.
That is an absolute capsule of why the Raiders have struggled today. Priest Holmes getting through the hole, going down, getting called for a 5-yard face mask. The ball pops out. The Raiders come out with it, but it wouldn't have mattered because the face mask.
Albert Lewis. First down and 10 from the 40. Holmes again. Some hard running today for Priest Holmes. Over the 40, up to the 43. Very important game for the Ravens. They've lost 4 straight. They were completely embarrassed last week against the Jaguars, losing 45-19. They gave up 42 points in the first half of play, and Ted Marchibroda said, hey, yeah, we were embarrassed, and the only way to forget about something like that is to continue to fight. And you can tell, Steve, that his players are on the field fighting for him and his job today.
They really are. They have really stepped up today. They are a completely different football team and have been great today in all phases.
Play action, Harbaugh. Roosevelt Potts out of the backfield, stood up by 38-year-old Albert Lewis in his 16th season out of Grambling.
One of the things you can see with this Baltimore club is that even when things have gone wrong today, when the plays haven't been there, when they've had to be forced to punt or a penalty happen, they have come back with a vengeance the next play, the next series. Even when the offense comes off, the defense continues the emotional high that they've started with this game. It has not let up from the first quarter. They have stayed emotional this entire game, and that is a tribute to Ted Marchibroda and how much they feel about him.
Art Modell, it's really tough to sit through this one. 3rd down and 8. Harbaugh again. Caught by Jackson. 1st down. They needed to get to the 50, and they get to the Raiders' 49. A gain of 10.
And this will get the crowd into it here on this drive late in the 4th quarter. Michael Jackson catching it just past the sticks. This is the first opportunity with just over 4 minutes to go in this football game that the Ravens could put this football game away.
3 catches, 35 yards for Michael Jackson. 1st down from the 48. And Priest Holmes. Grady Jackson with the hit. He had first contact, and the ball was, well, the play rather, was mopped up by Lance Johnstone. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining.
Crucial for the Raiders to stop this drive as quickly as they can and get the football back for Donald Hollis and the offense.
2nd down and 10. No gain on the last play. From the 48. 3-receiver package. Holmes lined up as a wide receiver on the near side. And Harbaugh calls timeout with 3:11 to go.
That timeout is one of, that's a 30-second timeout. They wanted to make sure they realize how crucial it is that they get in a 3rd and short situation here. They don't want to turn the football over, but yet if they get another 1st down, this really puts the Raiders on the ropes.
Next weekend, Greg Norman is 100% fit as he returns to host the Franklin Templeton Shark Shootout on CBS. Coverage begins Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern as Greg is joined by John Daly and Freddie Couples and many more in this 2-man team. Final round coverage begins Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern time here on CBS. 2-man team competition for the Shark.
I don't know if I had Fred
You're
Couples
a golfer,
if I had my Fred Couples on my team, I'd enter, but if it was me and you, we'd be carrying somebody's bag.
No question, especially me. You're about a 6 handicap, 7 handicap. It's pretty good.
This is the crucial point of the game right now. There's 3 minutes, 11 seconds to go. If the Raiders can stop them here on the next 2 downs, on 2nd and 3rd down, and force them to punt, that's plenty of time with their 2 timeouts remaining to engineer a drive, no matter how long, no matter where the field position is. They'll have plenty of time to get it done. If they don't stop them, the timeouts are going to be wasted trying to get them to get the football back.
2nd down and 10 from the 48. Harbaugh underneath, quick strike, 1st down. Floyd Turner, gain of 11.
One of the things you do when the pass rush has been beating you all day, just get rid of the ball now. Floyd Turner just runs the quick slant on the slot receiver to the top of the field. And that's a difficult route to defend because the ball is gone. There's no chance for a sack. And it happens so fast the defenders aren't ready to catch it, even if it's right into their hands. And that is a gutsy call on 2nd and 12.
Priest Holmes running, stopped at the 35. But the clock continues to run, 2:20 and counting. Now the Raiders use a timeout.
Just as we said, this will take them to the 2-minute. This gives them an extra play before the 2-minute warning. They can use it as a timeout as well.
Don't forget, coming up next here on CBS Sports, Game 2 of our doubleheader. Buffalo and the Jets, that's the big game. Doug Flutie and the Bills against Bill Parcells' New York Jets, San Diego, Denver, and Kansas City, Seattle. 2 minutes and 18 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter of play. The Ravens lead the Raiders 13-10. Don Strock and Jim Harbaugh, what a good game Don Strock has called. as he has gone right back to the run. Priest Holmes doing a good job.
This is the most balanced we've seen Baltimore's offense in a few weeks. They've had trouble. They fell behind last week, obviously, and had to throw the ball. But even in games previous to that, Priest Holmes didn't see the football enough out of the backfield in handoffs, and it cost them late in the game because their running game never got on track.
2nd and 9. Harbaugh changing the play. And he uses his last timeout. That's it. Better to be safe for the Ravens. They are out of timeouts with 2:18 to go.
That's you heard some boos in the crowd, but that's an excellent call by Jim Harbaugh. No, you don't want to call the timeout in this situation, but you know what? It's better to keep the football and get the right play than to chance it, get a quick snap, and have something bad happen. The Raiders have 1 left. Baltimore has no timeouts left. You see Art Modell, who has said, I'm not going to fire Ted Marchibroda unless I think this team is quits on him. But I'll tell you what, that guy Ted Marchibroda's got a bunch of guys playing their hearts out today.
They have not quit on him. Harbaugh back to the line of scrimmage. Michael Jackson wide to the far side. Turner to the near side. Priest Holmes changes directions, and he is down in the backfield. Darrell Russell having a Pro Bowl type season with the tackle.
Darrell Russell coming from the inside. We've said all game that they have really given problems. They're really giving problems to the Baltimore running game inside. That's why they're trying to get Priest Holmes to the corners of the defense. But in this case, Darrell Russell's able to pursue from the backside and still make the play.
Fourth quarter, Baltimore holding on to a 3-point lead over the Raiders. John Gruden on the left, and Ted Marchibroda, the head coach of the Ravens, on the right. Butterfly time for both coaches. 1 timeout remaining for the Raiders. Here's Holmes, and Priest Holmes taken down. Terry Wooden with the tackle.
And the Raiders have to burn their last timeout to stop the clock with 1:54 left. Now they get a chance to get it back and give it back to Donald Hollis and see if they can answer the call.
An important game for the Ravens. Their schedule, as Ted Marchibroda told us, was top-heavy. Some tough teams early, but it eases up. San Diego, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Tennessee.
Only one team has a winning record, and that's Minnesota.
Detroit losing to Philadelphia today on the road. And Indianapolis beaten today by the Miami Dolphins, 27-14. So an opportunity for the old coach, 68 years old.
He told us he would like to have played his schedule from the bottom up rather than the top down. They have really taken it on the chin here in the first half of the season, but today have played great football against a good Raider defense.
Desmond Howard stands at the 10. Kyle Richardson punting from the 49. High spiraling kick. Howard lets it go into the end zone. And the Raiders start from the 20. 36-yard punt. So Donald Hollis threw the interception in the first quarter to Rod Woodson, his first pass of the game. And Woodson ran it back 19 yards. And that's pretty much been the only mistake by him today.
At this point on the field, with 1:45 to go, can still throw the football over the middle of the football field. Everything is wide open in the passing game. Don't look for them, obviously, to run it, but do look for them to be able to throw the football all over the field and not worry about getting out of bounds at this point.
A minute 45 to go, 80 yards. Hollis on first down, caught. Tim Brown. Tackled by Starks at the 30. And it's a first down. No huddle being used by the Raiders. 1:30 and counting. Hollis again. Out of the backfield, John Ritchie trying to get out of bounds and doesn't. At the 40-yard line. 1:13 to go. Second and 3. Hollis. Out of the pocket, he's tripped up. Michael McCrary. 4th sack of the game for McCrary. And the Raiders out of timeouts, 56 seconds to go. They trail by 3. And the clock is running.
They need to get to the Baltimore 35-yard line to attempt a long field goal. Anything better is just gravy.
Here's the blitz. Hollis, far side. Caught. First down, and they don't get out of bounds. Raiders need to down the ball. That's what Hollis is trying to do now. Clock still running. 30 seconds and counting.
They can't down the ball. It's 4th down. They've got to go for a first down. No, they gave him a first down.
Hollis, far side. Caught again. Tim Brown inbounds, though, with 17 seconds to go. Raiders back at the line of scrimmage. And Hollis downs it.
There's one of the Baltimore players couldn't get off the field and was in the backfield for the Raiders. That's going to give them an extra 5 yards, so they need only 7 yards after the penalty to be in field goal range.
Bob McElwee, your referee.
Offside, number 93, defense. 5 yards, second down.
Keith Washington, a backup defensive end. So once again, Steve, where do they have to go to get in the field goal range?
They only need 5 yards, but they've only got 8 seconds to get there. They need to go right down this line, and that will be a 53-yarder, which is a long field goal, but it can be made. But they've only got 8 seconds. They've got to get out of bounds. It's crucial. This is the ball game right here, Gus.
Hollis down the sidelines for Brown. Incomplete. Broken up at the last moment. Staten. 3 seconds to go. So what do you do?
They've got to throw for the end zone. There's nothing left to do. Set up for the Hail Mary.
They're bringing in the kicker.
They're going to try a 59-yarder, 58-yarder.
Davis on the season is long, 51 yards. Remember Jason Elam a couple of weeks ago. He kicked a 63-yarder. Now he leaves the field. He leaves the field.
Now they're going to try and quick snap. They're going to try and quick snap and get a penalty. Get.
Here's Hollis into the end zone. The ball game here, and it's over. The Ravens win it. The Ravens snap a 4-game losing streak as they defeat the Raiders 13-10. Wait a minute, folks. The officials are meeting inside the 5-yard line. This may not be over.
Rod Woodson is yelling. He's pleading his case that they may call in this situation. It could be a defensive pass interference in the end zone even because the ball was going for the end zone. But I don't see a flag on the field.
The game is over.
Rod Woodson. And the Ravens have beaten the Oakland Raiders 13-10. Don't forget, coming up next, Buffalo and the Jets, or San Diego, Denver, or Kansas City, Seattle. So for Steve Tasker, I'm Gus Johnson saying so long from Baltimore. Our final score 13-10. And Steve, coming into this game, the Ravens, after being embarrassed last week, they knew they had to band together, and they did.
It all came down to the final play as Donald Hollis throws it for the end zone, and it's intercepted by the guy they picked on all day. Dwayne Starks pulls in the interception in the end zone. A little poetic justice.
For the Raiders, their 5-game winning streak snapped. Coming up next, Jim Nantz in New York.